Tottenham till I die, Spurs diehards. Tottenham till I die. Tottenham till I die. Tottenham till I die. Spurs diehards. Tottenham till I die.
Hello and welcome to the regular Friday edition of Spurs Diehards TTID Tottenham Till I Die. You may have noticed that our usual host, Drew, is absent. He's absconded to go to a Ledley King event in Kansas where he lives. So we're all jealous here because we'd like to meet Ledley King. Just check his knee out, you know.
Yeah.
Give it a little tap with a hammer like they do. See how he is.
Who would have thought that Ledley King would be in Kansas City, Missouri? That's kind of an interesting town for Ledley.
Yeah. Kansas in two states, though, isn't it? It's in Kansas City. It's in Kansas City, Missouri, isn't it? Or there's two Kansas.
Yeah, I would assume that it's in Kansas City, Missouri. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. A little bit of geography there for all of you that are geographically challenged. Right. So, yeah, we'll talk a bit about Villarreal. There's not much to talk about that game, but we'll talk about Brighton. If you've got any questions in the chat, then get your chats in. I see Audio's in there, Henry's in there, and Graham's in there. If you've got any questions, guys, get them in. We'll take your questions tonight. Right. So, Alan, how are we? How's the weather in California?
San Diego? It's very nice. It's been humid. So it's been hot and wet. So
okay.
But I'm happy it's Friday. Happy we got a game tomorrow.
Yeah. Aren't we all? Steve, how's things in Michigan?
Oh, I can't complain, man. It's nice because the summer looks like it's officially over as the leaves have started to change here in Flint, and the humidity has kind of evaporated, which makes me happy because, goddamn it, sometimes the Great Lakes summers here are just absolutely brutal. So I'm actually happy that we're kind of going from September, October, if I'm being perfectly honest.
I remember, years ago, before there was even mention of global warming, when British summer was usually 3 days of sunshine followed by a thunderstorm, and that was it, over and done with. We used to have 6 months of winter and 6 months bad weather. Right, let's get into it. Right, Alan, you watched the game, Villarreal.
I did. It was a long.
Give us your insight into that game, Al. Come on.
Oh God, it was. It was a difficult watch. Tough. It would. If this was a book, it would have been a tough read. It was uninspired. I think we had opportunities to score more. I was very concerned primarily with our execution in the final third. We had opportunities and we kind of just didn't take them. And we squandered other opportunities. So did they. I mean, we kept a clean sheet, so I was happy about that. So I don't want to complain a ton but we only really won the game because the goalie had a mare of a moment where it rolled right underneath him. It looked like the way he landed on the ball gave it some wicked spin, and it just went right under him. And it was it was a good kick, but it certainly wasn't. I don't think Lucas intended to put the ball in the net. I think he was trying to pass to Richarlison to put it in the net from the way it looked. So it was an unintended goal, a goal nonetheless, but still uninspiring. And there was nobody that was willing to step up and be clinical in the. So it was just an uninspiring game. But a win's a win, even if it's dirty.
It was the most agonisingly slow crawl over the line from that ball. I think all of us in the stand were blind. We're going, get the ball go over the line. I mean, what an error. I mean, that was a catastrophic error, you know, I mean, by the goalkeeper. It's just, I've never seen one like it.
It's crazy.
Steve, I mean, Alan's alluded to, like, not creating chances, although you didn't see the game. We can talk about, I mean, like, Andrew's got to fix his front four, hasn't he?
Thomas Frank.
Thomas Frank.
Sorry, I keep.
Well, by the way, Ange does have to fix his front for us.
And he's got his hands cut out for us.
But here's the thing about this, right? We all have to remember that Xavi literally just came into the starting 11, and of course we're going to see Randall Kolo-Muani at some point. And again, I didn't watch the Champions League match. I don't know if he played or not. To be perfectly honest with you, I was kind of thumbing it down in Florida there for a few days, so I didn't even necessarily get to see the starting 11s. But that being said, these things are going to take some time. Like this attacking core is going to go through some growing pains simply because chemistry is not something that that hits the ground running when it comes to football. Sometimes it actually does. But most of the time that's the exception, not necessarily the rule. And so from that standpoint, a lot of these guys are going to have to, get themselves on the same page. And I thought we were going to potentially see some sort of attacking duo between Richarlison and Mohamed Kudus. Although it's easy, it looks good against a team like Burnley. But that being said, even that is going to take some weeks, for that to materialize as well too. But I would probably assume by the time that we hit November, and by the time that we see this attacking four in its, I guess you could say in its entirety, I would probably assume we're going to see it then. But again, when you look at the complexity of the upcoming schedule, because we just got off the international break, and in 2 weeks we're going right back on another international break, right? That's also not going to help, help either. But that's why I always look big picture, because again, these things are going to take some time. And I think anybody that was expecting, fireworks, may have been sadly mistaken. But that being said, we have quality now. That's the one thing that me personally, I'm actually excited for, because we saw it against West Ham with Xavi Simons, and even though at certain points it was clipped, you can see quality, and I would probably assume that we're going to see it with Kolo-Muani, and I think we already know what we have with Richarlison. We know what we have with Mohamed Kudus, and we're going to get Dominic Solanke back pretty quick as well too. And I would probably assume that once we're at full strength, and these guys had have a couple weeks to gel, we're probably going to see that finished product.
Yeah, on the Solanke thing, Alan. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Muani get 90 minutes before Solanke. Solanke had an ankle issue. It was, as usually, it was overhyped in the media. Oh, it's much serious than we first thought. He'll be out. He needs surgery. You get the usual. Like next, it'll be like he's got 3 weeks to live. You know what I mean? That's what will go down. Like, the media's like out there. What the media's like. So he's back. So if it is an issue, he's going to have to carry. That's one that you see him. If he's going to have, and hopefully he doesn't get injured when he comes back. If there's anything needs tidying up, they'd do it in the close season, wouldn't they? If it was a minor operation on his ankle or something like that, if that is an issue.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's young. He should heal. Do you think we're going to see? We see Marnie from only took 1 minute to get booked, but yeah.
Yes.
With him, it's more a question of fitness as well. But he must be doing the training now, Marnie. He must be fine. We know that Solanke's back in the gym. We know that Decky's back in the gym. Madison's going to be the only long term. Takai should be. He's training with the full squad now.
Yep,
so he's training with the full squad. I mean, he's right-footed, tall centre back for a Japanese guy. I mean, I could see him even sitting in at right back as well, as an option. Yeah. What are you thinking, Moani or Solanke first back, or about the same time?
I think Moani. I rate Moani higher than Solanke. So I think
Mm.
I would rather see Moani
Mm.
get more time. I think Moani is the kind of player that if Thomas Frank can get to molding him a little bit into, and more into Thomas Frank's image, I think we could see someone that we should build around. That's the kind of player Kolo Muani is, coming from PSG. I think he's just, when you're playing for a team like PSG, I mean, it's you're going to come up against. He comes up against people like Dembele, because sometimes they play Dembele in the middle or some. He's got other players that are just so world class that he's not able to get screen time, so to speak. But I think we'll see Moani. Solanke, before he got injured, wasn't impressing me at all. He just wasn't. He does a lot of the hard graft that Harry Kane used to do, but he doesn't have that killer instinct that Harry Kane has. That we saw even in the Champions League when they played just the other day. They embarrassed. I thought they did. He's scoring. Didn't he score 2 goals? He scored a penalty kick and he put in another from distance.
Yeah, and Son got a hat trick.
And Son got a hat trick. Yeah.
But I think but it's the one thing that we don't necessarily have right now, which is phenomenal hold-up play. It's the one thing that we're actually missing for being direct through the center of the park, which is why we're attacking more off the wing than not, right? Because we just don't have that guy who can make a deep touch, move off the half turn and make a run into the box, right? Which is why Solanke is actually quite valuable, right? Which is one of the things that I think we missed in that match against West Ham, was that ability in that hold-up play, especially from the from that distribution standpoint of actually having that secondary run, right? Which is something that I think that Solanke gives us, which I don't think Richarlison necessarily gives us, and I don't think that Randall Kolo Muani is something that gives us, right? Those are kind of direct strikers, whereas I think maybe Solanke is a little bit more of that classic target 9. Now the problem with Solanke is, at least from my standpoint, is his actual movement in the box, right? Which was something that, from that standpoint, like what we saw last year, that's why we didn't see necessarily a ton of goals from that position, because it always seemed like his spacing and his positioning was all wrong in the box. But now maybe that changed because we actually have better service from the outside. But I think that's the good part about having 3 guys at that position, is because they each give you something a little bit different, where you can actually play them against different opponents depending on your need, right? Which is why I still think Solanke is actually going to be exceptionally valuable in this attack.
I hope so, because all right, I thought he didn't do too bad last season. 15 goals in all comps.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, because I can go back decades, I can name so many, excluding Kane and Son. I'm sure you guys can as well name so many strikers that are better than the pair we've got. Now I'm hoping that Solanke kicks on this season after his first season last season, because it wasn't a bad return. But it's like, we had strikers in the past that made things happen and they got you off your feet. Loads of them. And this doesn't happen with Richarlison. It gives you sweat and graft up front. We seem to be having to rely on, the way I look at it now, we seem to be having to rely on games, Alan, like by winning 1 or 2 or 2-1, because we're not going to score the 86 goals that Liverpool got last year, or the 100 goals that Man City got in a few of their 7 Premier League wins. So we're going to have to keep it tight. If we haven't got we haven't got a natural marksman, we haven't. So we're going to have to keep it tight, win games by the odd goal, or 2 at most.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think Kolo Muani will give us a little more strength up front. I think playing Xavi in the 10 versus on the left, I see him kind of struggling on the left. I don't know if he's used to really going backward, supporting who was it? Jed Spence, I think it was against Villarreal. I don't know how much he tracks back. And even if he does, then he has a little bit of difficulty getting forward. He's still getting his bearings, because he's coming from the Bundesliga, so he's still getting his bearings.
Mm.
But I think playing him in his most comfortable position would make it a lot better. We'd probably get more service to the forwards than the way he is right now. And because I didn't think Bentancur had the best game. He had an okay game.
Mm.
No one had a great game against Villarreal. I think that's part of the problem. No one had a great game, and it was worrying because Bayern had a great game. PSG had a great game. There were a lot of teams that had a lot of good games.
Yeah, the thing with the stats, I'll stay with you. The thing with the stats on a game like that is when you're at the ground like I am watching it, feeling the life force drain out of me as I'm watching this game, right? then you don't notice anything or anything positive and all that. But actually, I think Porro had 86 touches. VVV made 11 recoveries. He was probably our best player, and the interceptions as well he made.
Mm-hmm.
And someone else got a mention on, I forget. Oh, actually,
Bergvall.
Believe it or not, Richarlison won the most duels, 7. But when you watch games like that, you just don't see that, do you? Because the game's so poor.
Well, he'll win the duel, but then he gets the ball and he doesn't know. You can see the gears grinding in his head because he has no clue what he wants to do with the ball at his feet. And I think that's where everyone questions, is he a real, they say, in mockingly, they say, is he a real Brazilian? Because he doesn't know what to do with the ball.
Yeah, I mean, Solanke's got the better touch. I think
Yes.
with Richarlison, it's more if the ball comes to him rather than him have the instinct to move into position to, like Solanke does, to put it in the back of the net, like he did away in Europe and things like that. He has that way of cutting across players. You don't sort of see Richie do that. He just bullies his way all over the place, doesn't he, really?
That's
I mean,
he gets fouled a lot, too.
I've got to be honest. I mean, I want him gone. I want Basuma gone, as well. They'd be the first two I got rid of, but I'm completely done with Basuma. But if somehow Richarlison, he'd really have to have show some fantastic form coming up to January for me to want to keep him, though.
Even if he did, I think it would be what they would call a big club mentality if we were to sell him, even when he's doing well, because there's no doubt we can improve on Richarlison. I mean, there are players better than Richarlison out there, and there are teams that will buy Richarlison for a premium, even if that premium doesn't recoup everything that we spent on him. He's still, he has what arguably one of the best looking goals so far this season with that scissor kick goal. He's still got the ability to be effective for a team. I just think if we want to move up, we're going to need a forward option that's better than Richarlison.
Steve, I mean, Moani, he's on loan, so he's got to show what he's got, hasn't he? If he wants to move back to Juventus or he wants to get fully signed up by us, I mean, I did wonder why it was just a loan. We didn't go and buy him, because if we were rumoured to be buying Lukman, Aklush, Slovenia, Fofana. I mean, I'm thinking, well, why didn't we just go and buy him? Because he is virtually proven.
Well, to an extent, in Serie A he's proven, right? I think he had a great little loan spell with Juventus last season, but let's also remember that, he also couldn't necessarily break into PSG's first team consistently, right? He was, at his best, he was kind of a part-time player there with PSG. Now, granted, playing in the same position that was, occupied by Kylian Mbappe, it's kind of hard to break in. But that being said, it's like when he came over from Germany, there was a lot of hype surrounding him, and it just didn't necessarily translate. But that being said, what I will say is that coming into a league like the Premier League, where you're going up against some of the best defenders in the world, right? You kind of want to make sure before you actually pay the freight, you want to make sure that he actually can come good. And one of the things that I will say is it would have been certainly different last season if we would have landed up with a guy like Ange Postecoglou. Again, no disrespect to Ange Postecoglou, but I think with Thomas Frank, I think he's going to probably be in a system where it's going to allow him to play to his strengths and he can be a little bit more direct, right? Now that's the one thing that actually gets me a little bit excited. Now the question is whether or not that skill set that allowed him to flourish in Serie A is capable of doing it at the Premier League level. It's something we just don't know yet, right? Which was the great unknown, right? That's why you bring a guy, right? Bring a guy like Koulibaly in on loan, is because you just don't know whether or not that's something that's capable, right? It's a different level. And again, this is no disrespect to Serie A. Serie A is a very defensive counterattacking league. And so from that standpoint, you would think that maybe it would, but that being said, it's just a different level of defender in the Premier League. And that's the one thing that we just don't know whether or not that's going to translate. And so from that standpoint, you can understand why it was a loan move and not an outright transfer.
Right, I'm going to go through the chat, and then we talk about the wingers, and then we move down to midfield and the back four and talk about what your general perceptions of how they've been playing has been. So let me just go into the chat because the other chat is a bit small. So we've got my comments, and we've got Milton. Good evening, panel and people in chat. Smash the likes, peeps. Yeah, smash the likes, smash that little button, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, please. It really helps the algorithm. Another regular friend of the show, Audio Alderson. Good evening, Audio. Henry. Hi, Henry.
Yes.
Henry,
right. Graham's here. Evening, gents. Evening, Graham. Audio saying hi to Graham. Big up, Graham. When they get on the same wavelength of football, nice on the eye. Yeah, I mean, we'll touch on that, Audio, because I mean, we all know. Look, 4 wins, 1 loss, conceded 1 goal, 4 clean sheets, and we all know deep down inside it can only get better. It can only get better because we know our forwards have to function. So yeah, we'll get onto all that. Evening, Brian. He's a real life friend of mine. Big up, Audio saying. Big up, Audio. Evening, Rita, a good friend of the show as well. Milton again. Brian. Yeah. Yo, Peter's here. Hi, all. You must have finished work. Big up, Peter. Yeah,
Mr. Cahagias.
He's a paramedic and he's like saving lives. There can't be anything better than that, is it? How to save lives, right?
Saves lives in the future.
Yeah, yeah. Big up, Milton again. Like I say, we got like nearly 50 of you viewing us on various platforms. If you can actually get over to the homepage and get on here, it boosts our numbers as well and helps the algorithm. Yeah, Milton's here from Aussie as well. And we got it just finished. Yeah, I thought as much. Then we got still at work. Oh, Milton's got another hour. I see. He might win the Puskas. Yeah, he could well win the Puskas for that goal.
Yep.
And we all remember Lamella winning it for the Rabona against Arsenal. We lost the game. It took the edge of it. I bet it was mate unrest, right? Neil, my next sport is boxing. I ain't fighting you then, Neil. My daughter's engaged to ex-boxer. Boxing was in shock. I said, "Oh, I have a Ricky Hatton. Yeah, he died, didn't he? What a good fight." Really? Big up, chaps in chat. Big up, Nige. Right, so yeah, so that's that lot. Yeah, Alan, we'll talk about the wingers and then we'll talk about the midfield and whatever. What's your take been so far of? I'm a big fan of Xavi Simons. What's your take of him?
Oh, I'm a huge fan.
Okay.
Huge fan of Xavi Simons. I'm, when we were going for Eze, everyone was happy, including myself. I was very happy. But had they never been looking at Eze and only ever wanted Simons, I would have been over the moon just as much as with Eze. Because I think he's younger, and I think his ceiling is higher than Eze. And I think it takes time. It takes time to adjust into the Premier League. Look, our players, Pedro Porro, for example, I thought he was god awful his first season. He wasn't used to playing in the role, and he just struggled greatly. But then he grew into the position and then into the Premier League from the Portuguese league. And then now he is, one of these super phenomenally talented right backs who has an amazing kick on him, pinpoint accuracy, and Xavi Simons is that and more. He really is. He's the kind of, I was telling my wife, he's the kid that's been told he's probably one of the best, if not the best, since he was probably like 8 or 9 years old. He's been, that kind of person.
He probably was the world best at 8 and 9 years old.
Yeah.
That dude was magically gifted with the ball at both feet. Yeah, for sure.
Right. Exactly. He's always been this way. So he expects excellence from himself, and I think we will see excellence from him.
Yeah, I remember him scoring against England.
He probably grabs excellence too. Everything that dude does is just awesome.
My take on Simons, everyone knows beginning of last season when Ainge was still with us, the two players I wanted actually were Dogu and Eze. They were the two I wanted because I didn't think we'd get more than two. And the reason I wanted Eze over Simons was just because he was homegrown. That was it. I couldn't split them that much. I ain't knocking Eze, fantastic player. Yep. But I think you'll get a bit, because of work rate and a bit more grit, you're going to get a bit more effort out of a Simons than you want. I'm not saying I still wouldn't have took Eze, I would. But I just think they are different. Eze's more of a sort of like, he's more of a sort of ball carrier than out and out winger, in my opinion. And whereas I think Simons he's just got more. Like you said, that IC, he's just got more to his game all round.
He does.
I think, Steve, that he should. We did this with Hoddle back in the day, and if only those of you who didn't get a chance to see him in real life, best player England have ever produced, right? In my opinion, right? Now, Hoddle was just given. He was virtually given a free role. Our dealers used to say, whenever I was to pick the ball up at the back four, the first player I looked for was Glenn Hoddle, right? And so I think Simons should be given a free role, roaming, floating number 10. Basically, you can go where you want. Maddison goes number 10. He drifts left. He has a habit of drifting left.
Yeah,
true.
But I think Simons will go wherever he wants. And when he gets near that penalty area, teams are frightened of him. But he's a bit. I like to see him more central than out on the left, but I think we all do. But at the moment, we're waiting for Solanke to get fit, Moani to be playing 90 minutes, and then Moani will probably go on the left because Solanke's not playing on the left. You could play Richie up front. You could play Solanke up front, and even if you really want to block off the left, you could play Richarlison on the left, couldn't you? Because he is a nuisance. So no, I really like him. So okay, Steve, with you, while we're talking about the left, I would like to a natural left winger is Odebert. Classed as, from the training ground, is classed as the most skillful player at the club, Maddison being the second. Do you want to see him give him more game time? Will we see him against Doncaster, say Wednesday or whatever? I know we're looking a bit far ahead now. But some of these players are going to get games in that game, though.
They need to.
I would hope so. The only way you're going to find out is whether or not these guys get minutes. And it's one thing to do it on the training pitch, and but that being said, that's also a restricted environment where if you mess up, you can just try again. Those type of things, right? Where eventually, in order to find out whether or not a young player has class, they're going to have to be able to have minutes, and they're going to have to be able to prove it against better talent. And one of the things I like about Wilson Odebert is the fact that dude's fearless, right? And you kind of see it when he plays, right? That dude is just not afraid to go 1v1 against any defender, even if he loses. And from that standpoint, I like it just because he's willing to try things, right? Which is something that, unfortunately, some of the other guys that that play that position, don't necessarily have the wherewithal of wanting to try things. Obviously, I'm talking about Brennan. Maybe even Tell to an extent as well too. So from that standpoint, as far as the class of left wingers that we have, I would probably say he would probably be the natural fit. The question is whether or not that fits into the plans of a guy like Thomas Frank, or is this going to be something that we're just waiting for January to roll around because they know they have a hole that they have to potentially fill, and at that point they can actually play a front four that Thomas Frank envisions at that point. But I would like to see him get time against Doncaster. To be honest with you, I actually want to see him get time tomorrow against Brighton. And I actually think that would, me personally, I think that would be a very good test for him too, because Brighton is very is very compact, very organized in the back, and very technical in the back as well too. And me personally, I think it would just be a great test.
We've brought in 4 good players, Alan. I mean, I like all the 4 they brought in, and obviously Romero signed a new 4-year deal.
Yeah.
But if not even those 4, if Odobert or Tell could make that left wing spot, could hit their straps, we can look at strengthening other departments coming January, because then, would we also then be so keen on getting Savini? I'll take Savini now, don't get me wrong. Right, there's any of those 4 wingers I mentioned. I would take. I take for Farm. I take Ekluish.
Right. I still think that they strengthen that position in the January window.
Well,
especially if they're within 8 to 10 points come the window in January, and they're still actually right there knocking on the doorstep. 100% they improve that position.
Well, yeah, because look, let's be fair about this. We need 2 in that position, not 1.
Yeah,
we need 2.
Well, I guess in this hypothetical we're talking about is if Wilson Odobert does actually develop between now and then, and he does take advantage of the minutes that he's given, that just strengthens that position. You're still going to go out there and bring in somebody who can start, but for a fact you actually have a guy on the bench that's willing to come in and need 25, 30 minutes if you absolutely need it. You can rotate at that point, right? So that's, it's not necessarily the fact that all of a sudden you have your left winger of the future and you can be confident in that. You want to make sure that you actually have a trusted deputy in that position where for a fact that you can rotate and not necessarily miss a beat.
On the right, Steve, staying with you, we have got Kudus. We know Decky will be back November. He'll be back then. And you've got Johnson. That enough on the right?
That's a great question.
I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, here's the interesting thing, right? Because when Ange Postecoglou decided to move Decky centrally, it changed my entire perception of how to deploy Dejan Kulusevski. And at that point, I think we saw actually the very best of what a guy like Dejan Kulusevski is able to bring this attack, because he actually, there's this old thing, right? And Alan, I'm sure you've heard this before, right? He's kind of like a bull in the China shop, right?
Yeah, bull in the China shop.
I actually like that too, because it's just it's something different, and the dude is just fearless, right? And he's not afraid to make runs on the interior, but his distribution is actually not bad at all. And I think it's just something. I think it's something different centrally, and I actually think he's at his best position in a central position. That being said, it's nice to know that he can actually play out wide as well too. But that being said, it almost feels like you're kind of neutering his best skill set by playing him out right. Whereas a guy, at least with Brendan Johnson, he can score from that position. He's not the greatest winger. I hate to say it, I don't think he's at his best or is right. But that being said, it's for whatever reason, he always seems to find himself at the either at the near or the far post. So it's at least you get goal production from Brendan Johnson. So at least you have that. But from a tactical standpoint, the idea of taking Decky and taking him out of his best position, sticking him on the right. If you need him, you got him. But me personally, it's just when you look at the lack of depth at that 10 position, you probably assume that that's where Decky's going to play when he comes back. I think I think Thomas Frank might agree with that.
I mean, I know Kudus tracks back, does what the best wingers do. He can actually track back and all that. But if you're playing away at PSG, needing a point, I mean, I could see Kulu on the right there in a game like that.
Yeah.
Away games, because he just doesn't block things up. I mean, he holds up. People say slow. He's not slow. You have to recall that.
No, he's not slow at all.
Our other players are quick. Other players are quick. Johnson is quicker than Kulu, right? But he don't use his pace as much as he should, does he?
No.
Whereas Decky, I am an absolutely big fan of him. He's got odorless qualities in him. He'll never be an oddle, but he's got those sort of qualities in there.
He's a throwback to some of the great Spurs, some of the great Spurs players of the past. He's a dude that just plays hard, Doesn't necessarily play for himself, plays for the club. And it's just those characteristics that we haven't seen at Spurs in a very, very.
He's very hard to get off the ball. All right, he does have some games when he loses it and all that, and he's not quite in it in top form. But he was their best player until he got injured last season. Played 40 games to Superman 50 or something. And
I still remember the first leg at the Lane versus Liverpool in the League Cup last year, where he was absolutely ball dominant against a very good Liverpool side that first leg. I still remember that beautiful performance.
Whereas I think Kudus looks like he's tired. That's something I noticed in the Villarreal game. When Kudus first started playing for Tottenham, there was a fire about him. He was very quick on the ball. And it's not that he's not quick, but he looks sluggish. And I think it's I don't know if he's used to playing as often as many minutes as he's playing. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he looked a little tired, and he's gonna need we need someone of similar caliber to back him up. And hopefully that's Decky. I don't know who that is until then. I mean, he can play Brendan Johnson there. And again, Thomas Frank wanted Brendan Johnson at Brentford. So I'm curious if Thomas Frank will ever address that, revisiting the players that he wanted but didn't get when he was at Brentford. If he'd ever talk about that, now that I have Brendan Johnson, how do you feel he's playing for you, and get the coach's thoughts on the player? Because kind of like what Steve is saying, Brendan Johnson is another player I think I would be okay watching be sold, and he has the pedigree now where you can say, look, he scored how many goals? 17 goals or whatever last season or whatever in all competitions. That's nothing to sneeze at. And there are teams that need a goal scorer. They just need someone to put the ball in the back of net, and we could sell him. And we know for a fact, we all know here, there's a way to improve on Brendan Johnson. There are players out there better than Brendan Johnson doing the role that we would need him, who is made to be on the right. And I think we should find someone like that who's ready now to compete with Mohamed Kudus, really give him a fair fight, so that we can have two players who are awesome in their role.
He may well get sold. I mean, obviously we only express our opinions on players we like, which is just subjective anyway. But he may well get sold, as a few others. I mean, even favourites might go in the end, because at the moment, I mean, we'll come to the squad. The squad's got 27 players in it. 2 of them, 5 are under 21s, including Tell, Odebert, Bergvall, Gray, and Sakai, right? But 2 of those are not homegrown because they haven't been with the club 2 years. That's Gray and Bergvall, right, as well. So I think in the January transfer window, we can only bring in 2 players anyway, unless we sell, right? Otherwise, the squad's going to be too bloated.
I think we may sell Basuma in the
I hope so. I hope so. I'll help him pack. I hope so. We got 27 players in the squad. We're okay because we've got the under 21s in there as well. Yeah. But even with the Champions League, right? You can bring 3 players in maximum to add to that squad. That's it, right? But if we bring a Savina in or a foreign player in, I don't know if Savina's class homegrown. I don't know how long he's been at City. But if we bring another foreign player in, then with Kulu fit as well, right? Sakai and all that. Ange, although it was difficult for him to name his 22-man squad, it's going to be even harder come January if you bring another foreign player in. They're not coming in unless they get in a Champions League squad. So, and if you bring 2 in, you're looking at what? I mean, now, are you looking at leaving out? I mean, whether that would be Davies or whether you'd leave out, someone else like that. Who knows? We'll look at that in a bit. Let's move on to the midfield, Steve. We seem to have a glut of riches in midfield. I mean, we do.
Do we? Do we really though?
Yeah, I think we do.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, and that's even without Maddison and Kulu back, right?
Yeah.
We won't see Maddison this season probably, but hopefully he's fit for the next pre-season, but that's a long way off. So that's after we've picked up some more silverware, you know. So yeah. So I mean, Sarr and Bergvall, they've been brilliant.
They have.
Yeah. You know, the interesting thing is, me personally, I always think that Lucas Bergvall's best position is a box to box. But that being said, the last couple of matches with him, with him in that position as being the 10, it's actually been quite impressive, to be honest with you. And of course, the goal against West Ham, where he just made a daring run into the box and catches on the end of the header was just unbelievably spectacular. But one of the things is I like about the fact is, he's got a little Kulusevski in him. He's not afraid to make those interior runs, and his touch is actually has actually been quite impressive. But the other thing is, what I like about the addition of Xavi into the mix is it allows you to kind of use Papstar as a chess piece, which is also has its uniqueness as well too, because you would probably assume that right now, especially if Thomas Frank continues to play Xavi out on the left, it's going to put us in a situation where potentially we're playing Polina and Betancourt into that midfield with a guy like Lucas Bergvall, and it allows you to pick and choose when you want and when you can to play a guy like Papstar. But me personally, I think that as good as Papstar has been, Lucas Bergvall just continues to improve week after week, which was something that was absolutely brilliant to watch last season. To go from where he came into how he finished the season, and then coming into the season, and now watching him continue to climb that ladder. And when you think the fact that we bought both of those guys for less than $35 million, it's just unreal. It's unreal to watch the transformation. Now it's to a point where you're starting to wonder, what positions can't they play in the midfield? Because it seems like regardless of where I feel like both of them are plug and play. Like if you need to rotate, he can handle himself. Right now, it's the point where we're not even talking about Archie Gray anymore. You know what I mean? Like that is to me is the sign of somebody that is going to be potentially in the conversation of some of the best midfielders this Premier League's seen over the last 25 years.
You know what I noticed about Bergvall compared to Archie Gray? Archie Gray, if you stand them next to each other, although I think they're about the same height.
Yeah, they're both 6'2".
Yeah, Bergvall put on some muscle over the summer. He looks bigger.
Yeah.
Whereas
yes, he does, doesn't he?
Yeah, he looks bigger. He obviously put on some muscle, and it translates because he and Archie Gray were about the same size last season, but this season, no. And I think it's done Bergvall a lot of good because you see him, and one of the things, he's not afraid to jump into a tackle.
That's what I love about him.
Yeah.
Great point, man. Great point.
I mean, to me, Sarr's not going to be a number 10. He's doing a fantastic job where he is. He turns up for big games. He gets goals against the big teams. He won the ball in our half and run into the opposing half of Man United and cross the ball for the winner in the Europa League. Right? I mean, he is a big game player. He's. I mean, I was always waiting with these players. A lot of fans jump on their backs too quickly, and people said, "Oh, he just runs a lot." No, there's a lot more to his game than that. And I think he's got an even higher ceiling, but he's not going to be a number 10. Not when you've got, Simmons, Maddison, Kulusevski. His final position is not going to be in that full attacking midfield role, which I'd rather use than the word number 10. It's going to be a more central, box to box defensive midfielder as well, is what I see Sarr doing. Bergvall, people say he's not a 10 either, is he? He's the same, but he's just more attacking than he's a central attacking midfielder. And he can defend because he's played alongside Betancourt in them European games. So we're talking about players that for their age, they're pretty complete. They are. It's just phenomenal for their age.
It's just weird though, when I compare the two at that position, Bergvall just gives you a little bit more. Like if you need him to drop deep to make a touch and then push up off the half turn and distribute, it seems to be that he's just a little bit better than Papsar in that role. But that being said, it's also on the counter, he's also not afraid to make runs into the box. Now, I'm not saying that Papsar is afraid to do that. It just seems like that, Lucas Bergvall is like that. He plays with a, reckless abandon, but he's also tactical about when he wants to get forward. But that, and he's not, and I think Alan just hit it. He's not afraid to jump into a tackle, but he's also not afraid to go 1v1 up against taller center backs in the box, right? Which is something that I absolutely love. The dude is absolutely fearless. With me, it's just, that being said, with a guy like Papsar, you can deploy him further up the pitch as well too, because he can facilitate a role, right? Which is why I like the idea of using Papsar in that second half, especially if we're chasing a goal, if we're trying, or if we're actually, if we're tied and we're actually just trying to get a result right there. He's also going to be somebody that's stable, that's not going to cough up the ball, that's actually going to be sound defensively too, tracking back, right? The dude's got unbelievable tactical vision. So from that standpoint, right, both are unbelievable in that role.
I don't know that I agree. I agree with Nita on two of the three. Papsar and Lucas Bergvall, they are distancing themselves, I think, in progression of their progress on their way to being first team all the time. I think Papsar and Lucas have really distanced themselves from Gray. Gray had a lot of time last season to play and a lot of practice. And I just think that they've distinguished themselves much more than Archie Gray has. And I'm wondering if Archie Gray winds up a casualty of their success and we wind up selling Archie Gray.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with when Archie Gray was at Leeds, he was used in a right back position. And last season, he was used in multiple positions and not necessarily his traditional defensive midfield position, right? So he was used at center back, he was used at right back. So there was multiple opportunities to get him on the pitch. And that's just the way that Ange Postecoglou looked at him, right? He was just like a young Swiss Army knife. And if you needed somebody to step in, you could. This year with Thomas Frank looks at him simply as a CDM. And at that point, he's behind Polina or he's behind, Betancourt. And so unfortunately, right, where, yes, Archie Gray has multiple uses in his locker. But that being said, it's like, if we need a backup right back, we'll just move Jed Spence over to the right. And he's going to pull that back up. And now we actually have depth at the center back position. We're now, we don't absolutely need to use Archie Gray in that. So now he's just literally at his natural position and he's sitting behind two very good options. Whereas a guy like Lucas Bergvall, he can play both positions up. And because of injury at the 10 position, he actually can facilitate a role right now. I would probably assume, like, if we lost Betancourt or we lost Polina, knock on wood, but don't, we would probably see a lot more Archie Gray in this team. And I think I don't think it's necessarily he's a casualty. I just think I just think with Papsar and Lucas Bergvall, it just so happens that the timing was crappy that we lose a guy like James Madison and we don't necessarily have a deputy. And so therefore they're just going to get a little bit more playing time right now.
Yeah. And I think that we will at some point upgrade on Betancourt. I think he's a player that he's very in demand in in Spain or in Italy. He could go there and kill it, and we could command a high price for him, and people will pay it because he's done such a great job. He's such a good, but I think there's still, we could improve. We could find someone younger, even if they aren't exactly at his level, but about at his level, who has a higher ceiling. We could improve on some of these players.
But you have to make sure, though, right? You have to make sure, though, right? Like, you want to make sure that Archie Gray is ready to step in and he's able to handle that responsibility right now before you make sure you sell a guy like Betancourt, right? I agree with you. I 100% agree with you that if you wanted to and move on from him, that could happen rather quickly. But you want to make sure that Archie Gray is ready to go and be able to step into that starting 11 and hit the ground running, right? You don't want a period of growing pains, right? You want to make sure that he can step in and be able to handle the responsibility, correct?
Well, that's why I thought I was thinking that perhaps with Archie Gray, we were buying players for their future potential when we were buying Archie Gray, and I think we are starting to transition to a more, buy now, pay now kind of, buy here, pay here kind of thing, where we want a ready-made player who's got the ability to kind of hit the ground running, versus someone that we have another player, because we have so many young players. I'm just wondering if Archie Gray is going to be a victim of the shift away from hoarding players who are young, who have boatloads of potential but no real experience, and in favor of getting ready-made players who can make an effect now, which I think the fans want. I believe, because look, we got Luka Vuskovic who's going to come back, who just got Harry Kane and company taught them a lesson at Hamburger, but we have a lot of players, young players who are out on loan who will come back. And what are we supposed to do with them? I think Archie Gray is just one of those players that may not fit now, and we might be able to cash in on him because of his future potential, rather than waiting to see if he becomes something at Spurs.
Yeah, Frank sees him as a midfielder, so I wouldn't surprise me if we see him Wednesday against Doncaster. And the reason I say that is because at the moment with Madison and that out, all right, you got Simmons and Lieutenant Bentancur, but if you look at the other ones, you've got Bergvall, Sarr, Paulinho, Bentancur, and Gray. 5 for them 2 older midfield positions.
Or Decky.
You're going to need them. We're going to need them, right, this season. I mean, we've got to get it out of our heads. Oh, starting 11. No, you've got to think squad 18. You've got to. You're not going to have a squad of 25. Even Man City can't keep them happy. Look at Savina. He's not happy. He's not getting game time. They throw him on the sub in a couple of games. So it's impossible. That's why I think Pep says I like working with a smaller squad. I don't quite agree with that, because if you're in 4 competitions, you need that 25-man squad, right? So, so I don't agree with Pep on that. But who am I to agree with Pep?
Can I ask you guys a question real quick about Archie Gray? And I'm just curious to see what you guys think that we have Papsar, we have Betancourt, Paulinho, we're going to get Decky back, we got Bergvall, and we have Xavi. In a situation where Paulinho stays healthy and Betancourt stays healthy, and when we get Decky back before January, is there would you have a problem if they put Archie Gray on a 6-month loan, whether it's to Italy, Spain, the Netherlands, Germany, something like that, where he actually can go get first team minutes for the rest of the season? Would you guys necessarily have a problem with that?
I would have a big problem with it, to be honest with you. And I'll state this for this reason as well. Let's come down. Scroll down a second. Right, okay. This is in the Champions League, right? 1 game. We got 4 yellow cards, right? Oh no, this is not the Champions League one. Hang on.
Solid.
The ref was kind of anti us in the Villarreal game.
I'm telling you, man, that's solid yellow card production right there.
But I will say, Xavi got very lucky. I thought that potentially he could have gotten a second yellow.
And like VDV could have got sent off as well. Now, 100%. Yellow cards. This is 4, right? Now, we like to bring you facts on Dive, so I'm going to give you the facts coming up now. So these 4 have got 1 yellow card each. This is why Gray will get his time and all that right now. Players are suspended after 3 cautions, right? So you've got 8 games. If you get 3 cautions, that did not result in a red card, because obviously you get suspended. As well as any subsequent odd-numbered caution, 5th, 7th, 9th. So if you get 3 yellow cards in the Champions League, you're suspended. Now, I know there was an amnesty last year. I can't remember whether it was the quarterfinals or in the playoffs or something. They were all white, weren't they? I think it might have been just prior to the next round of games, right? They're suspended. But should you be a bit of a dog of war and get 3, you get 1 game, but then you could be in game 5. You could pick up 5th yellow card in 5 games. Really, you could pick up. You're not going to pick up 9 yellow cards in 8 games, are you? Unless you're sent off, right? So unless they carry over, Now there might be if they're cancelled,
I
it
don't think
doesn't make sense, does it? So this is what I'm saying. This is just in the Champions League. So while we're let's go over on this one then, right? These are wrong one. Where am I going? Where am I going with this?
Shit, wrong.
Right, let me get the other yellow cards up because I've got these as generic banners for us to because I'll add to them. Now this is the league one, right?
Mhm.
Romero 1, Johnson 1, Richarlison 1, Porro 1, Spence 2, right? That's in 4 league games. If you get 5 yellow cards before the 18th game, halfway through the league season, you get a suspension. Now, I know it's not big because it's only 1 game you're going to miss, but we don't know if we'll have, and I hope we don't go through the injury crisis. I don't think we will. We'll have injuries. Every club gets injuries and players get knocked and they miss a game or tweaks. We're going to need every player we got, Steve. I'm not saying, I get where you're coming from. You make a valid point. Yeah, if you're not going to get game time, farm them out, fine. But I just think we need everyone. We need everyone.
I don't necessarily disagree with that, but when I see these names, none of them are midfielders, right? And let's just hypothetically, talk this out, right? So if let's just say that VDV, collects a couple more yellows and he's suspended for a match, we have Kevin Danso, or we have Ben Davis that will be able to step in for a match depending on the opponent, right? Or if it's Porro, then Spence moves over. If it's Spence, Udogi's back, right? So the question is where does Archie Gray fit defensively? Well, we already know that Thomas Frank actually looks at him as a midfielder. They're certainly not going to move him up the pitch in that type of situation, although we did kind of see him play a little farther up in that Newcastle preseason match. But that being said, it's like, when I look at this and it's like, okay, cool. So I try to put my mind into the mind of Thomas Frank. It's like, I would probably just assume that, there are other options before a guy like Archie Gray gets his number pulled. Outside of maybe, maybe a League's Cup match. I just wonder whether Archie Gray kind of figures into this equation. I understand what you're saying. Like, we do need all hands on deck. I 100% agree with that. But that being said, I'm looking at these yellow card watch right here, and I'm like, okay, well, none of these are really in the midfield.
Well, let's look at the squad then. We talk about defense because these are the 27 we've got. Venom, Venom is Vicario.
That's Vicario.
Okay, that's cool.
So you got Davies, VDV, Cootie, that's Romero, by the way. Danso, Paulina, Bentancur, Simon, Kudus, Johnson, Richie, Solanke, Dragerson, Madison, Kulu, Basuma. I'd get rid of him. Bergvall, Gray, Odebert. So now, the Bergvall, Gray, Odebert, so and Sakai, those 5 are all under 21. This is why we can have the 27.
I see what you're saying. So getting rid of Gray would effectively eliminate a position.
Yeah, I mean, like I think him and Bergvall class as under 21s next year, homegrown. Bearing in mind that they're only these 5 run. We don't know what we got with Takai yet.
No,
right?
Correct.
Is it Katai? Have I spelled this right? Is it
Koto Takai?
Is it Toka Kutai, isn't it? I've got it spelled wrong. Yeah, TK. That's how I remember it. Toka Kutai. So I've spelled his name wrong. Sorry to you, my little Japanese friend. Right, I'll say little. He's 6 foot odd and all, isn't he? And he's quick. I was watching a video of him today because I'm wondering, because I'm sort of thinking about squad. Well, what's going to happen? So, and this. I mean, you're right. We're going to be getting rid of people, Stephen Allen, because like, as soon as we bring another player in or another 2 in, we got to make room. So I'm looking Davis and Basuma going. I'm looking at getting rid of Richarlison. We've got to keep 2 strikers, so we can't get rid of Solanke as well. We don't know what Mahani's going to do. So so it's like you bring Savina in, right? And you bring, I mean, if they were to go and get Conor Gallagher for 50 mil or something like that and bring him in, then you are looking at it. It's a good problem to have because the squad's not bad. It's just that where it's not bad in the midfield areas and at the back, but at the moment we haven't got a functioning forward line. We
But
haven't.
Drew,
Correct.
it's interesting. Even
Correct.
Drew on I was watching him and Sean, and they were talking about Julian Alvarez from
Yeah.
Athletic. Someone
Yeah.
like that. Someone like that. Young. Wasn't he a Manchester City?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah. I would kill to have Julian Alvarez up top.
yeah, he's a really good player. They were talking about him and how he's not getting a lot of game time right now.
Yeah, go on, carry on.
So he's someone that people might be interested. Who would you grab, Steve, if you in the transfer market?
That's a very great question. Knowing that we have Randall Colomwani, who's more of a striker than a left winger, I would be targeting the left wing side. Now, if that is something that that can be remedied within the Premier League, like an Anton Semenyo, that would be excellent. Although I think that's going to be more summer window than winter window. Potentially a guy like Cedinho, or if you want to go outside of the Premier League, there's a tremendous amount of options that are probably going to be available. But that being said, I also look at that midfield. I also look at the midfield, considering that Madison's going to be out. And I guess you can say if the main plan is to actually move Xavi Simons into that 10 role, you're probably going to need somebody else. Now, maybe that's Kulu, but maybe, to Adrian's point, maybe Thomas Frank looks at him as that, as more of a right sider than a central area player. Then I would probably think that maybe, strengthening that 10 position might be something that, makes a lot of sense, right? So for me, it's got to be, left wing in the midfield. But that being said, I know a lot of people are talking about left-sided center back, left back depth, and I think that's actually quite valid as well too. But that being said, it's like at the end of the day, right now, I think we have enough depth defensively where we will be able to maintain our shape and maintain our defensive prowess. That being said, maybe you guys disagree with this, but I actually look at this squad as potentially still being in the hunt for the league come January. And I would probably assume that, especially down the stretch, as these matches are going to be coming thick and fast, right? And I would probably assume that rotation is probably going to be the key to this, right? If we're going to potentially find ourselves in that top four, potentially in the hunt, we're going to need to score goals, and we're going to actually have to be far more consistent in that attacking four than we are right now. And it starts off that left side, but also potentially at that 10 position as well too.
Oh, we'll have a say in the league. We're not winning it. We're not winning the Champions League. But
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
But
Believe big, sir.
Yeah, I'm positive anyway. But I don't see why we can't win a domestic cup and finish fifth to seventh.
That's what I was going to say.
A lot of fans would take a bit of silverware in 6th or 7th because we can win that Europa League every year we're in it. Right?
Yeah.
And I think the fans would like that. We're not. The club obviously, even under Enoch now, and no Levy, will want the Champions League because of the money. So we'll see if they step up. Well, we know we've got 90 mil to spend in January, which goes a long way if you're putting 20 mil down on players and things like that.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And then what I want to see is after that, because that money's just borrowed on the strength of TV revenue, right? So that we're due to get coming in. A lot of clubs do it, Barcelona, they all do it, right? When they get heavily indebted, they struggle to find ways to raise more capital for players. So, that's that bit. So, through here, who would you get rid of, guys? Who would you get rid of?
To be honest, and it may be ridiculous, I don't know. I feel like Solanke is a player that we based our opinion. Ange may have based his opinion on one season where Solanke did very well at Bournemouth, and I think Antoine Semenyo is for what we need right now. I think he's the better player. I would even send Solanke back to Bournemouth if it meant we could get Antoine Semenyo on the left-hand side.
He's a good player. He tore us to pieces.
I don't think Bournemouth would ever take Solanke back, considering they have Evan Nielsen, and I think they rate Evan Nielsen far better than they rated Solanke. And me personally, I think Solanke actually has actually a defined role at this team, considering the way that Thomas Frank likes his strikers to play. I think there's definitely a role for him. Now, I don't know whether that's a starter, but that being said, I would be in a situation where I'd rather keep Mwami and Solanke and potentially to offload Richie. Now, I guess the question is whether Richie would accept a move. Because so far, he's rebuffed any move to leave Tottenham. Maybe that equation changes in the summer after the World Cup. But as of right now, like trying to convince Richie to leave Tottenham right now, you would have to ensure that he's going to a team that has a better opportunity for him to continue to make the World Cup roster. But as far as I'm concerned, I would assume the obvious guys like Basuma, obviously. But as far as like attacking players, can we actually really afford to lose anybody out of that attacking core at this stage?
Well, I mean, I would sell Richie. I would get rid of Basuma. I would get rid of Davies. I want to look at Sakai against Doncaster if he's fit. If not, he's going to have to wait and come on in a game where we're winning. We need to have a look at him. Odebert's definitely got something about him. I mean, he's got such good ball control and balance, right? And that's why I want to see him. I want to see him on the left because I think this kid's got something about him. So, bit of an unknown quantity. We signed him. He must have looked very good in training, unless it was an obligation to buy, and we had to buy him, pay the extra money. I get the critique on him. He'll know that. Couple of goals he got, didn't he? Scored a penalty and things like that. Got an excellent attitude, but attitudes don't necessarily win games. It's goals that win games, isn't it? So yeah. So it's like, and I think the front four is the concern of most of the fan base. It's sort of like no cohesion there, no fluidity of movement. It's all a bit disjointed and hopeful, and it's all sort of hopeful balls and stuff like that. And so where's the coaching? Where are you supposed to be? Where's your right winger supposed to be when your left winger's got the ball? Where's your attacking midfielder supposed to be? I mean, don't get me wrong, that through ball from Romero to Bergvall against West Ham was absolutely superb.
Oh,
but I just put it in.
But it was West Ham, though.
Yeah, I put it in a few podcast chats when I'm sitting in this, because I sit in loads of chats just to see what people's feelings are in general, and I post a couple of questions. The same question in a few channels, they picked it up. I said, well, would Romero have made that pass at 0-0? I don't think you risk it at 0-0. When you're a goal up, you can take that extra risk, can't you? If you lose the ball, you're still winning, right? So
I'd like to think that he would, though.
Great pass, though. It's a great pass and a perfectly timed run by Bergvall. A superb finish. Batistuta or Tony Aitley would have been proud of that header.
Well, I think he's also willing to jump like that for that header because of the size he put on. He's not intimidated by anyone anymore,
No. So
yeah, the Vipad Dash in the chat throughout the name Anthony Gordon from Newcastle as a potential option on the left side. Yeah, one can dream. One can dream.
Yeah, that's not happening though. Yeah, because they just lost Isaac, couldn't they? And they brought the young Aston Villa creative midfielder in, and to me, I don't even know whether we're interested in him, because to me, Bergvall's better than him anyway.
The
Go on.
What was I gonna ask you guys? I mean, from a standpoint of roster construction, I don't think it would be wise to necessarily offload anybody out of the attacking core at this stage. I think you're gonna Adrian, you mentioned it earlier, man. If Archie Gray is somebody that you need still in the squad in that rotation, because it's all hands on deck, I would probably assume that it means, especially in the attacking front, regardless, even if it's a guy like Matisse Tell, or even a guy like Wilson Odeberry, you got to have all your options available. Especially if this season's going to progress like I think it is, right? The additions are really going to make it a little bit better, where you might be able to pick and choose which midfield you can drop week to week in favor for better attacking players. I would probably assume that you're going to want to keep Richie and Solanke and a guy like Brendan Johnson and a guy like Matisse Tell kind of still in the fold, regardless if they're not necessarily getting minutes, right? Just for the simple fact of having depth at that position to make sure that you can withstand potential injuries. I just don't
Nita,
think. I think it would be unwise.
Nita, I'm shocked Marnie's not match it. Is he getting his debut tomorrow? I can only surmise and speculate, and I think he got 20 minutes, got that book in. I think he'll get half hour tomorrow, and he'll start Wednesday against Doncaster.
Yeah, something like that.
Shows fitness. I think that's just me thinking logically, and believe you me, I get things wrong all the time, right? So, yeah. So I don't think he starts. I think Richarlison starts, and then I think Marnie comes on.
Yeah. With Tell, when it comes to the maybe with the problem with Tell, I don't think he doesn't know how much he's going to get sold for, so it's not his fault that we paid what 35 million for him.
Yeah.
It's so much compared to Odebear, who I don't think we paid very much for.
Right.
And if they're in the similar place, both of them could be upgraded upon. We could upgrade if we sold both of them, let's say. Not that I'm looking to sell both of them, but they're both you can upgrade on. But I think Matisse Tell has, with money like that's for 35 million, I think we needed him to be a little more hit the ground running kind of thing. And if Wilson Odebear, Wilson Odebear was included in the Champions League squad and Matisse Tell was not. And that's that's
Yes.
telling to me, that we've spent $35 million on a guy that can't even play in our Champions League squad. It makes me a little nervous that perhaps would we sell him if we got 20 million? Would you sell him if we could get 20 million for him and then open up a slot that we could replace him with someone that might be a little more ready-made? I'm wondering if maybe that kind of sacrifice is made because he was left out of Champions League. So one major thing, he can't even play for us unless someone gets injured.
He may get a game against Doncaster as well. What I'm thinking with Tell is, see, we're still trying to get an insight into Frank's thinking. I mean, and I always look towards the subs. I mean, Gray was left out of the game against West Ham.
Mm-hmm.
But then against West Ham, he put faith in Tell by playing through the middle, and he struggled. So, you don't write a player off just because of that. I mean, you want to see him if he's coming on as a sub. Given what is considered a fair amount of chances for a player, I don't know nowadays. Back in the day, it'd be like someone come back for injuries. It was like 5 or 6 games to get him back to his fitness levels. Here nowadays, you're expected to hit the ground running every time you get on the pitch. So, and fans let you know straight away. I think there was a lack of patience with players, but
I also think it could be just a level too big for a guy like Matisse Tell.
It may be.
And the interesting thing is he's not a left winger, and I think that was kind of obvious last season. He actually resorted to hero ball on the left side instead of actually trying to be a little bit more productive when it comes to that position. But that being said, he's a naturally developed striker. That is his position.
And
right? Except now we actually have a better version of Matisse Tell, and his name is Randall Colomwani, right? So when that guy is actually up to pace and he's fit, he's probably going to get a lot of playing time. So the question then becomes, what is Matisse Tell's role going to be at this team? And oh, by the way, come January, we get Mason Milia through the door, the young Irish striker, right?
Spurs
so then
Spurs fans were screaming for us to sign him.
Yeah.
Again, fans that don't. I mean, I watch a lot of videos. I'm sure you guys do because I send them to you. But I mean, I mean, I watched him. He is an inside forward come number 9. That will be his final position wherever he ends up. But he was never going to push Harry Kane out that
Iron Road. No,
got another striker in as well. So, I mean, Kane might go. Yeah, let's get him in January. Pay the 50 mil, bring him back.
Bring him back.
Right? So if it's 50 mil, just pay it. Forget Slovenia.
So many problems.
Just bring Kane back. He's a marksman, right?
Yeah.
I don't care if he's slow. Sheringham wasn't fast. We've had other strikers at the club that weren't fast, but they're just naturally gifted.
Just the other day, Harry Kane manufactured a goal out of nothing for the 3rd goal for Bayern against Chelsea.
Can you imagine?
I didn't see it.
Can you imagine an attack with Harry Kane up top with Xavi Simons and Mohamed Kudus? Good Lord have mercy. Lord
Yeah.
have mercy.
I
Yeah.
meant, I would love to. Have
I
Van de
wouldn't allow myself to dream like that, but yeah, you're absolutely right.
I don't think I don't think we have to worry about this. I think very soon, within the next couple of months, if I had to guess, we should be hearing about a contract
Yeah.
for
I
Van de
assume-
Ven.
He loves it. That's what I like about a lot of the players at the club. And this is how a piece of silver unifies the fan base and the players. Porro loves it at this club. I mean, he's superhuman. Played 50 games last year. Decky played 40, I think. Then you got Romero, said he never wanted to leave. VDV loves it here. Spence is a Spurs fan anyway.
Mhm.
Doggy again came in young. Saar loves it. You can see it on Saar's face. I mean, this is when you can see it on a player's face. Paulinus seems to have settled in. He's done his interviews. You think, wow, look what you're saying.
Yeah. Took his son out onto the pitch and everything.
Yeah. Bentancur, don't know if it's that sort of player that's in love with the club or not, but we stuck with him all through his injuries, So I don't know about him. Gray, we know he loves it. Kudus wanted to come to Spurs. He loves it. Decky loves it here. I mean, other players, I don't know so much about. Richarlison wants to be in the Brazil squad next year. I don't know if he loves it or not. Although, when we beat Arsenal in that friendly away, he was actually carrying the trophy, which we think nothing of. And shouting at the Arsenal fans when he was going across the pitch, because probably the first time he's ever beaten Arsenal in a Spurs shirt. So he definitely fights for the shirt. You can't say nothing about that. And I just think a lot. Tell wanted to sign for the club. Odegaard did. I just happen to think there's just it's such a good unity there, like amongst the players there. The team spirit's good, and I've seen it before because I go back decades. When you win a trophy, the impact of winning that trophy, right, boosts you on so many fronts. It boosts you on so many fronts. There's a belief and a confidence that you can win games and get over the line. You've adopted a winner mentality. It's like you've broken through to the other side, basically. And with that comes tremendous belief. And I expect us to win a piece of silverware this year. I do. And I think it'll be the League Cup or the FA Cup. I'd prefer the FA Cup. It's got more kudos. I'll pardon the pun, Naomi. Right? But
we're also an FA Cup team. We've always been historically an FA Cup team. But I will say that the reason why I'm not worried about any movement with Van de Ven is because we've already drawn the line in the sand as a club, and we're not getting rid of our best players anymore.
No.
One of the biggest tests was Cudi Romero, right? And I think that it would have been easy Spurs the past to cut bait. But that being said, the problem with that is it's going to take you 3 years to develop somebody else or to eventually find that replacement. In the meantime, the spine of your team continues to get worse, right? The idea is to win trophies, right? So you can't do that with a weak spine in your team. And we're still trying to figure out the top half of it. But at least with the back end, we know for a fact we have a center back pairing that's as good as we've had in this club in a very long time. And I keep saying this because I truly believe it. I think the Cudi Romero Van de Ven pairing was better than Vertonghen and Alderweireld. And I love those guys as well too, because they were absolutely rock solid. I mean, the absolute sky is the limit. If we can be able to keep this center back pairing for the next 4 years, good Lord, man, the sky is the absolute limit, right?
Yeah.
And you cannot consider yourself a big time club. You cannot consider yourself to be in the race for any type of silverware if you're continuously giving up your best players. And we have seen this time and time again over the last 25 years where somebody comes in with a big transfer offer and all of a sudden that player goes to a bigger club. It's like at the end of the day, you actually want to consider yourself a big club, right? So you actually have to act like a big club, which means you have to keep your best players around. And Van de Ven absolutely is one of our best players. And we cannot afford to get rid of them. And so I don't think this should concern any fan.
Yeah. If I was being absolutely ruthless, because I don't know if Tell Odegaard are going to help fix the left hand issue. I don't know if Solanke's going to kick on this season. So, and like, there's a question at left centre back and left back still, because we don't know if Frank wants Spence season as a left back, then go and get Vanderson at Monaco. So to me, we need a full back, a left centre back. Now, if I'm being ruthless, because we don't know, and we should know what we've got. When you're a big club, you should know what you've got in your squad. You shouldn't have to be worried about thinking about what might be. You should know. So to me, we'd need a left back and 2 strikers. Because to be honest with you, Solanke and Richarlison, they're not good enough. I mean, they're not.
How
Now,
dare you.
I don't know. Solanke might smash it, and so might Richarlison. You know, I'm not. It's not so much the injuries either of that, you know, but you haven't shown it. I mean, like Richarlison hasn't shown it. I've seen half it from Solanke because he got the 15 goals in all comps, and like he's got something about him. Is he good enough? Well, this is his 2nd season. Now we're waiting to see. But if we had Harry Kane, you ain't waiting to see.
Right.
Son in his heyday, you ain't waiting to see. You know what you've got, and we don't. And so we're hoping. And I always say one of my favourite saying, "Hope's not a strategy." And we're hoping that we're going to have a good season because we hope our forward line's going to click. But we don't know it's going to click or not. We haven't got a clue whether it's going to click or not. Look, we're going to have a very good season. I'm convinced of that, just on winning a trophy. But how good? I think we should finish with this squad between 5th and 7th. Others might not be as positive as me. And I just think with the domestic cups, you've got 6 games to win the FA Cup, 7 to win the League Cup, and it was 15 to win the Europa League, right? So I think you've got a good chance of winning that. To be realistic, Champions League, you know, PSG, Bayern, Barcelona will go and beat Newcastle, you know, even Arsenal and Chelsea. I mean, we're not a top 8 side in that Champions League.
You don't think we can get
lucky.
for the knockouts?
When Chelsea stunk the place out and won it under Matteo, he won it and he won the FA Cup and they sacked him, right? You'd have 2 specials around the Spurs ground if he'd done that with us. But we don't know. I mean, like, we can go out of form. Anything can happen in football. You can play the best team in the world, don't have a player sent off, suddenly game on. You know, I mean, that can happen. So we don't know if other teams will have key players suspended. You know, only takes an error in a game to get punished. At that level, you make a mistake, you get punished.
Yep.
I just asked the Villarreal goalkeeper, Junior, right?
Yes.
And just ask him. Yeah. So yeah, there's that. I mean, okay, let's talk about. We've got a game tomorrow, guys. And I know we're all looking forward to it. But before we do that, there's a 55 of you viewing us on various platforms. We're going to plug the channel a little bit. If some of you haven't subscribed to the channel, there's a little red subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner. Please hit the subscribe button because it helps the algorithm. We have got memberships of people membership. We keep it cheap. It's $1.99 a month if you want to become a member. You know, you can become a member when you subscribe and all that if you want to do so, right? Our shows go out every Tuesday or Wednesday because of the Champions League now, but every Friday and Sunday. I usually host the Tuesday or Wednesday show with Tom when he's about our admin. Admin Drew Ziller is off to Ledley King today. He usually hosts today's show, Friday's show, and EMF hosts on Sunday. So we have got a few other platforms. You can find us on XCOM, Spurs Diehards there. Spurs Diehards I started a Facebook group 2019 when the stadium opened. That's got 14,500 members. I'm sure it'll get a 15. And I just wish a lot of people that use that platform, which most of them in the Southern Hemisphere, when you check the members, would come on here. Yeah, so with that, thanks to everyone for your comments in the chat. Thanks for your questions. Thanks to all of you watching on XCOM and all that. Big up to everyone who watches on playback. So it's back to the show. And yeah, let's move down to the banners on. Did you watch Frank's press conference, you guys?
Yes.
I did. Yeah.
He's just he just says all the right things, doesn't he?
He does.
Mm-hmm.
And he loves Cootie Romero. I mean, he obviously has a, you know, I think
about the leadership group, and he hasn't announced it yet. Why we need a leadership group, I don't know. You got a club captain, whatever. So I don't know why we need it.
I know you don't like you don't.
Yeah, I don't like it either. Yeah, I don't either. I don't like it's the days of a captain and a vice captain. That's good enough.
Mm-hmm. And then, so he was saying everything right. He was going about Gray. He sees him as a midfielder or a centre back. He didn't say right back, but he knows he can fit in there if he has to. and he may have to, depending on yellow card suspensions and possible injuries. So we've got this game coming up next. Brighton and Hove Albion tomorrow, 3:00. Who's playing? Anyone? Who's playing? Who's your team? Well, let's do the back four. We do back four, midfield and attack here. So obviously Venom's in goal, right? Is Spence or you doggy starting? I think you know the other three.
I think Udogie starts.
I
I think Spence looked in the Villarreal game. Spence did not look that solid. He did not look all that polished. In fact, there was one or two times he was caught sleeping in the back. And I think it's just because he's being called on now a lot. I mean, he played for England. He was a part of the England squad, and he's been playing a lot. He's been an in-demand player, as he should have been. But I think he needs a rest. So I think it's Udogie.
Yeah, okay.
I would agree. But I also think it's also, something that what Udogie possesses that maybe Jed Spence has to still work on is the fact that Udogie's left foot when it comes to the attack is something that gives the attack a little bit more dimension coming off that overlap off the left side, right? So I think from that standpoint, everything that Alan just said is 100% correct. But that being said, it's like I would like to think that Thomas Frank, there's a few intangibles that Udogie possesses that I'm sure that Thomas Frank actually appreciates. That's something that doesn't, Jed Spence doesn't necessarily have in his locker yet. It still has to be developed.
So Romero and VDV centre backs, because they'll probably be rested Wednesday against Doncaster, I would have thought. I don't know, because centre backs actually, I could be tripping myself up here, because centre backs and a goalkeeper do the least amount of running in a game usually. So yeah, and Porro on the right then,
I guess Porro on the right. Until Jed is able to spend most of his time on the right when we replace and get another left back, I guess it's going to be the Porro game all the time.
Is there any chance that we go with the back three tomorrow?
I doubt it, because I mean the reason I doubt it is just on logic, really, to me. But logic and football sometimes don't go hand in hand, and the reason I say it is because you've been playing 4-3-3, or you can call it 4-2-3-1 all season, apart from that game away to PSG. The only time we've gone to three at the back is usually to close a game out when we brought Dancer on late or something like that. Then we've done it. And why are you going to change things when the players are used to playing one way, mostly one way? If it went wrong, then there'll be fingers pointing at Frank, right? So I think that's the reason I think he'll stick with like what I would call 4-3-3. Yeah. Fair. So yeah, but if he changes it, I'll be surprised. I'm going to be interested in looking at the subs bench tomorrow. I'm always interested in the subs because you've got 11 and 9, unlike the Champions League when you get 12 subs. So he's going to have to trim his subs bench down to 9. So, and I'll be looking at the subs bench over the next few weeks with great interest, just to get an insight into his Frank's thinking.
Interesting. I am a little worried about tomorrow. More so, not exactly how we're going to line up, but it's more from the Brighton side of things, because that team is a very, very, very well coached team. That Fabian Hurtzler gets everything out of that team, and so for me, it's how we line up is vastly important. I'm sure we're going to get to it in just a second when it comes to midfield three. Just the way that team presses, right? I would probably assume that that midfield three is probably going to be vastly important, trying to break that Brighton press.
Well, on that, I don't think Brighton will score against us. I really don't. And I based that on when I was watching from my aerial view from level 5 on the East End, and midfield against Villarreal was close to our back four, right? It was close to our back four. And even when they got the ball off the back and they broke forward, we were easy to close down by Villarreal playing 4-4-2. because then they've got to cover more ground unless they can hit a wicked long pass to one of our forward players. And so that area of the pitch, midfield and the back is sort of sorted. We know what we've got. We won't always win games. We're going to lose games, but that's sort of sorted. We've got confidence in it for the most part. It's just the distance between that, and I just don't see Brighton breaking us down. I just don't see it.
They have some pretty good players. They got Welbeck. Usually they play up front.
Yeah.
They have, and I'm looking at what they had last. Matoma is very good. Minte on the other side is also very good. They have experience in James Milner in the midfield, who's also a very physical player. Van Hecke and Dunk are good in the back.
Is Evan Ferguson still there?
No, he's
loaned out.
He's loaned out, or he's not there. He's somewhere else, I think.
Right.
Yeah, I just think, that I mean, all teams are going to cause you problems, especially when they're at home. So they should. I just think we just too much quality for them. I think we can stunt them, basically. I mean, if I was going to bet tomorrow, I'd go on a 2-0 Spurs win. I'm not going to go mad, but I'd say 2-0.
That's what I would say, 2-0.
It all depends on. I would assume it all depends on how we start, right? Even in that West Ham match, we did. It took us a long time to kind of get into that first half before we were able. We were able to kind of roll on full strength. After the second half started, right? So I guess it all depends on what the sense of urgency is at that opening whistle. Are we going to be tentative, or are we going to be on the front foot, right? So that's where my concern lies, because I would probably assume that they're going to come out two guns a-blazing, right? I mean, if you've been watching Brighton, man, they've been taking it to their opponents literally from the off.
Sonny kind of has a good saying here that we could potentially do Udogie on the left and Spence on the right and give Porro a rest. Since Spence, that's the position he would prefer to be in on the right.
Yeah. I mean, he might start Johnson on the left. I don't like Johnson on the left, but he might start him on the left.
Yeah. Evan Ferguson's at Roma, by the way, on loan.
Okay.
I think I think it was a Jose Mourinho pickup when he was there.
Yeah, so
they do. They still have Welbeck.
Midfield, does he see? I'm thinking with this team selection, because it's not Premier League game after Premier League game. I'm thinking like with Doncaster in mind, I think you'd probably go Paulina and Bentancur.
I would agree. Yeah, I would agree. Especially considering that we only have 3 days rest off the Champions League, and then prior to that, both Romero and Van de Ven started against West Ham as well too, right? So they have a lot of minutes in the space, in the span of the last week. So you're probably going to want to have, at least a double pivot that is going to at least, be in a position to at least kind of drive traffic to the wings instead of putting your center backs in a position where they're actually their work rate is going to be increased in this match, right? So I would probably assume that your two best center defensive mids are probably going to be on the pitch for this one.
So I want to see in the midfield. I want to see Sarr, Berival, and Xavi. Those are the three I would put in the middle. And then up front, I could see him putting maybe Odegaard on the left, either Richarlison or Kolomoani. I kind of prefer to see Kolomoani start like a strong center forward. But Richarlison's also strong. I just don't think that he has any ball control. And, so when it comes to finishing, he's really good with his head. We saw him with the scissor kick, but I don't think that that's the usual for Richarlison. And then Kudu's on the right.
Yeah. See, Frank, he might, because we're good at set plays now. Although I'm saying this means that, like, if you're going to go with Paulina, see, this is a permutation issue, isn't it? If you're going to go with Paulina and Bentancur, then Bergvall stays on the bench if Sarr plays. but then Bergval's got the long throw.
Yep.
So he might only go like he did against Villarreal with one of Paulina or Bentancur. So he might go with one, because we've seen it's worked with Bergval beside Bentancur before in Europe when they've had to pair up there.
Mm-hmm.
You can still play Sarr further forward, Xavi on the left. I'm beginning to think like if you're playing one or the two of them, fine. I mean, if you're away at PSG, you're playing both, right? But I mean, I think, maybe he only goes with one of them. And Paulina came on late, so he might start with Paulina, rest Bentancur. Start Paulina with Bentancur and Sarr. I think that would make sense.
Mm.
And
Or
then,
or with Bergval and Paulina and Xavi.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see Xavi start in that central area. But that being said, there's that want to see what that link up play looks like between him and
we don't know what they've done in training, Steve, do they? If Odebert's been playing on the left, you can put Xavi in the middle.
That's right. I just want to see what that looks like, right? So
from
that standpoint, I would love to see that. And I guess my midfield three, like if I had my choice, it would probably be Paulina, Bentancur, and Xavi. But that being said, if it's Paulina, Bergval, and Xavi, I wouldn't have a problem with that either. The question is like, who do you play on the left? Is that going to be a Brendan Johnson or an Odegaard?
I just don't think. I don't think it'd be fair to drop Sarr. He's really stepped up.
I hear you.
Sarr, Bergval, and Paulina, because he came on for the last 20 minutes. Then Bentancur can play. You're keeping a big gun to play Wednesday against Doncaster. Means Gray can play then.
Well, that's the thing now, because we're playing on so many fronts. It's not even so much that we're dropping players, so much as we're rotating players to save them. And I think that's important, an important distinction, because I think one, implies that they're not doing well and get dropped, as opposed to just being rotated to rest them. And I think that Sarr, whilst he's still young and stuff, he's plays a lot. Lately, he's been playing a lot.
And like Danso and Davis, stepping a bit further, they might be the centre back pairing against Doncaster.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
right.
100%. They could.
With his, and then you rest in VDV.
If there was any opportunity
ever about his hamstring, you rest in VDV.
Yeah.
And Romero as well. Although, like I've said, centre backs, you can push them harder than other players. I mean, every other position on the pitch, apart from like centre back and goalkeeper, there's a lot more running doing. Even VDV said when he plays left back for Holland, he's never had to run so much. So yeah.
Or we could see potentially, you could see Archie Gray in center back with Danzo. They did that last year.
Potentially, yeah.
Sonny's saying, I think as we're playing away, we need both Paulina and Bentancur. He may well do that. I mean, we're only having a bit of fun trying to get a team selection, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think when I've done my best in seasons, I've probably got about 10 players, and that's because everyone else is injured. It's been easy to pick the team, right? but like, Sonny, no, yeah. I mean, he may play both of them because it's away at Brighton. I mean, the last 8 times we played, I think we lost 4, won 3, drawn 1. It's not an awful record, but he could play both those two and Sarr and leave Bergval on a bench and bring him on late. Because he's very effective when he comes on late, Bergval, I've noticed. He really seems to he really wants to grab the game by the scruff of his neck. He's got that right attitude, isn't he? So you could go with those 3. I mean, Brighton's midfield won't live with that midfield. And then you build on that. But no, we'll see. I need to see more games to see. Everyone says, Frank's a bit defensive or stuff like that. Well, sort the back 4 out, sort the midfield out, and then sort the front 3 out. Do it that way. Yeah, so
AFCON's going to kill us too. I'm seeing Sonny talk about AFCON because we got Kudus, so our right side we're gonna be weak. We got Sarr, so our midfield can be kind of weak. We got players that are going to AFCON.
Udogi.
Yep. Udogi. Yep.
So we got players that will be impact our first team when they go to AFCON.
Well,
Maloney's French, isn't he? Some are dual now.
So is the AFCON championships outside the normal FIFA window, international window, or is that a part of the is that?
They're probably in line now, round after.
Yeah, like I don't know if that's a part of a normal FIFA international break or is that outside? Yeah, that's right. Udoji is Italian. That's right.
Mm.
Good call, Sonny.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's the thing is I don't know if AFCON is.
And there is
yeah, Udoji's Italian.
Yeah, and Kudus never qualified. Okay, yeah, because team Kudus is from.
Oh yeah, there you go. Good. Really, Ghana didn't qualify? That's shocking.
Yeah.
Ghana's pretty good. Guess not.
Right. Let's get your predictions, guys, and we'll finish. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Spurs.
Yep. I'm going 2-0 also. I just don't think, because Brighton, let me see. Who did they play? They played Bournemouth last time. They lost 2-1. We lost 1-0 to Bournemouth. I think we are a better team than Brighton. And to be honest, I think we're a better team than Bournemouth. I think we just on the day did not play so well. So I just don't see Brighton scoring.
Yeah, like I don't want to be that guy, but I will. And you know, it's one thing to play Brighton at the lane, but it's another thing to go down to the Amex. You know, me personally, I just think Brighton is the type of bogey team that we kind of struggle against. Same thing with a team like Bournemouth, right? Where if we don't necessarily get off to a great start and it takes us a while to get into it, there's a good chance that, you know, their ability to press and their ability to counter could potentially lead to a goal. So I'm actually going to roll with Jimmy Hotspur here and say it's 1-1 for me as well too.
All right. So we didn't. I mean, like the forward line, it's going to be Kudus on the right. It's going to be Richie in the middle. It's just a question who's playing on the left.
Yeah.
I
think it'll be Odebear. To be honest,
he'll be playing Wednesday if he don't play tomorrow.
Yeah,
correct.
You think it'd be Odebear? Well, no, it's going to be it'll be Xavi, won't it?
Again, I hope not, because I just don't think that Xavi is at his best in the left wing. I think he's better as an attacking midfielder. That's where his preferred position is. So I would rather see him there.
Yeah, he's going to play. We didn't pay all that money for him to sit him on the bench when he's fit. So we all want to see him in a number 10, but I don't think that's happening soon. I think, well, you know, you never know. Frank might fool us with he's going to play at 4-3, but it doesn't mean to say, I mean, there'll be a case when everyone's fit to play 2 number 10s in a game.
With James Maddison and Xavi, you mean?
Yeah, with Paulino at the base.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, when everyone's fit, and we're going to get more players in. I mean, look, Spurs it's an exciting time to be a Spurs fan. I mean, this squad is gradually improving. All right, players are going to come and go, and we'll see what happens. See what Frank does. See how if Enid put their hands. Well, they're going to put their hands in a pocket for January, but that won't be enough. We still need to upgrade in summer. So even if we got 1 or 2 in, if it was one big sign in January like Slovenia for 75 mil or whatever it is, you know, if it wasn't Ekluesh or Fafana or Lookman, it's strange that about Lookman, no one took him. He's had previous managers and all that. I think there's something. I think
there's an attitude issue. I think.
Well, this is whenever there's an attitude.
We were trying to get him on loan, correct? It wasn't.
That was why. That's why. When there's an attitude problem, if you're not sure, get the player in on loan.
Yeah.
Correct.
Because if he's got an attitude, you can fuck him off afterwards, right? We don't get lumbered, right? You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yep.
Guys, I think we've about covered everything. We don't want to waffle on. We've got 60 of you viewing us on various platforms. Thank you for your support. Like I said, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, there's the little bit, we can't see it. There's a red subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner. Please subscribe. We are taking memberships at $1.99 a month. We've only got one class of membership. So that is it. That is the lowest class they do on YouTube. So yeah, we are on other platforms. If you're interested in use those platforms, you can join our Facebook group, or you can join our Facebook page, or you can join XCOM on there. Yeah, with that, I want to thank everyone in the chat for their comments and questions. I want to thank my two guests here. I want to thank Drewzilla for deserting us and running off to ask Ledley King's questions in Kansas. No, I hope you have a good time, Drew. Hope you had a great time definitely. There. Yeah. And oh, what I haven't done, I did put your links up right in the comments section earlier on, didn't I? And I haven't brought them up. I keep forgetting to do that, which is bad of me. I am remiss. Right, where are you? Okay. Right, we have. You can get over to Steve at Stateside Footy. Yeah. What you got coming up, Steve? You're usually doing everything.
Well, yeah, for sure. Tomorrow we have the Hotspur Watch Along, and that starts at I believe 9:30 Eastern U.S. time. 30 minutes before kickoff, and then of course the match itself. Sunday we have our edition of USMNT Yanks Abroad as we recap U.S. men's national team players that are playing in Europe, and then on Monday we actually have a very special guest as I am joined by Tactical Manager TV. On Monday night as we talk about the U.S. men's national team. So it's actually going to be a very big weekend. So make sure you head on over and hit that like and subscribe.
Yeah, nice. Go to Steve at the like and subscribe button. And Alan can be found here on Team Go Tottenham. He's We'll have to get you on, Alan.
Yeah, I would love to. Love to. Yeah. And I haven't had a lot of time, but I've started again. I've been doing game reactions. So I do quick 60-second game reactions after each game. So I'll do one tomorrow. I'll do one after Champions League next week and all that.
That is fatal, doing a game reaction 60 seconds after a game. when your veins are still bubbling and you're boiling within from what you've witnessed.
Oh, yeah. And then one way or another, bubbling, either happy or angry. But it makes for good video.
Sure.
Right. I want to thank Drew's regular guests on the show, my regular guests, good friends of the show. These two guests here. They'll be back. They're regulars, so they'll be back Friday with Drew and me and perhaps one other. We like to keep it to about 5 max. And with that, I just want to thank you all again. Big up to everyone who watches on playback. I'm going to play you out with this, and I'll see you guys in the back studio.
Until we die, we are talking until we die. Spurs die hard, heart and soul. We are talking until we die. We are talking until we die. Spurs die hard and soul. We are talking until we die. We are talking until we die. Spurs die hard and soul. Lily white and navy blue. Until we die, we are taught until we die. Spurs die hard, heart and soul. Lily white and navy blue. Taught until we die, we are taught until we die. Spurs die hard, heart and soul. We are taught until we die, we are taught until we die. Spurs die hard, heart and soul. We are taught until we die, we are taught until we die. Spurs die hard, heart and soul. Lily white and navy blue. We are talking until we die. We are talking until we die. Spurs die heart and soul. Lily white and navy blue. We are talking until we die. We are talking until we die. Spurs die heart and soul. Lily white to navy blue.